In this episode, we talk about Solo, a Star Wars movie, and whether prequels really are ever necessary.
We also talk about some recent TV shows we've seen, including Love, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, and Atlanta. At last. Judgecast.
Hello and welcome to a brand new Judgecast of myself, Joe Bowden, and this guy...
J. Taylor.
I'm not going to say anything about that. We have been on a little sitcom sojourn.
Oh, nice
of
choice.
late. The last five episodes in the last 5 weeks, we've been covering the state of the sitcom.
It has been immense. We've loved it. We've had amazing feedback. We've had incredible guests.
It's been so much fun, and I've learnt so much as well. And it's interesting because we started this to look at like what's going on with the state of the sitcom now, but in order to kind of work out where you are, quite often you have to go back and have a look at what's going on.
Oh, yeah.
And boy, have we.
You sound like DJ Premier in Scratch, where he's like, in order to know where hip-hop's going, you got to know where it's been.
Wow, that's a real compliment.
Yeah.
And
You'd be like Jobo Primo.
Thank you. I mean, I was actually, I think it's possibly Herodotus who said that.
I think Primo's better.
Oh yeah, Primo and Herodotus are very similar people.
But yeah, and if you haven't checked out State of the Sitcom, do so. We've got 5 episodes up. We had For Film's Sake, Flix Watcher, Wine and Crime. We had...
Easy Riders Raging, Inside Pop.
Yeah.
It's been really, really exciting.
So from both sides of the pond.
Yeah,
UK,
it's been really
US.
good to get that sort of that breadth of experience. Now, obviously, it would be really cool to cover the rest of the world as well. But we have a little bit of understanding. Well, you're pretty good at French.
Yeah.
I can speak a little bit of Spanish, but I don't think it's really good enough for us to properly be able to watch sitcoms in other languages.
Let us know if there are anything, from countries that we haven't picked up on, and we'll see what we can do.
Yeah.
But yeah, we will definitely be coming back with State of the Sitcom with another 5 episodes coming later in the summer with more special guests. So yeah, stay tuned to that.
But
what else have we been doing?
Well, I was going to say right now we're getting back to old school, getting back to how it's always been.
Writing Judgecast.
And what have we been doing? What have we been watching?
We've been watching. So we had the wonderful weekend where we managed to watch two actually sitcoms that we really enjoyed.
What we watched sitcoms.
Yeah. We watched the 3rd season of Love and the 4th season of Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, and as we finished both of them, we found out literally within the space of 5 minutes of finishing them.
Well, no, like as the credits rolled,
that they both had been cancelled, which is quite a shit feeling.
It was really weird because I felt that both of these were having really strong seasons.
Oh yeah, the last season of Love especially was.
I think it's the strongest, yeah, absolutely.
Really, it really got its characters, and it didn't. Whereas in previous seasons, sometimes it had these really strong characters, but sometimes it would completely underwrite them or lose them.
I think it really showed a progression and growth in all of them.
Yeah.
Because it started off as kind of a 2-character show, and it's really blossomed into this ensemble piece.
I really liked the cast of characters, and the fact that they did look at more of the minutiae of a friendship group was just wonderful. And how you are when you're starting a relationship with the friendship group. So the episode
when you
where
start
they're
to
sick
bring
and
them
stuff.
together.
Yeah,
and stuff.
I thought it was really, really nicely done. And actually, I enjoyed the fact that we watched it before knowing it was cancelled.
Yeah. Otherwise, the whole time we've been going,
exactly.
Oh, I kind of know where they might be leading with this and stuff like that. It was good to think that it was open ended. So yeah, sorry if you haven't watched it. We've ruined that experience for you.
You can't have our experience.
But yeah, no, I thought that was really strong, and I was actually gutted hearing it had been cancelled because I was like, that's one of my. It's not really. Is it really a sitcom? It's more a dramedy, I think. But it's been one of our strongest shows in the last few years. I just really like the way it's written. It's very understated, but I do like the way it's done.
Yeah, it
feels a bit more... Weirdly, I don't think I have any like addictions like Mickey, but I just find it quite a relatable show to watch.
Well,
And I don't live in LA.
We don't know many people that watch it. In fact, we don't know anyone that watches it.
Oh, maybe that's it. Or maybe we were the only 2 people watching it.
No.
Welcome to our podcast where we talk about things that only we have watched.
I mean, in our friendship group, I don't know many people that we don't know anyone that's watched it, and maybe it is that it is. There is a screenwriter on it. There is, maybe it does tie into some of our kind of...
I guess maybe it's relatable in terms of what they do rather than what they are, who they are.
And,
interesting.
I think it's been a strong branch for Apatow to go down. Some of his films are really strong to a point, and then they falter.
Well, that's interesting because, quite often Apatow films kind of start off really great and then they kind of go a little bit long. So to see him... Well, I mean, he's producing. I don't think he's worked great. Like, I don't think he's been writing and
but he's definitely got
and directing every episode. But it's
DNA.
Absolutely. But to see him do a long term format like a TV show, and to keep the humour and the heart going for that long, considering that's generally what I have found to be an issue in his films, I think is really interesting.
I think Funny People would have worked better as a show like this. The problem was, as a film, it went on so long because it just didn't gel together. You had this great first half, then it just started going off.
Well, it stopped being funny about halfway through.
Whereas actually, I think that would have been a really interesting world to... Because I still find that world interesting, people that write for Jay Leno and all of that stuff. But, it's not a series and that's fine.
Yeah. Oh, and Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. I mean, it's season 4, part 1, we found out.
Oh, yeah, there is.
So there are 6 more episodes to come in a year's time. Because we blitzed through those in, a day?
It's very easy to watch.
It's like 20 minutes long, so what's that, like 2 hours of viewing? I mean, it's basically watching a movie.
And it's definitely the bitchiest show on TV.
Oh my God, but I love it for that.
It was so...
I love to just go, this is what I think, and I'm not going to apologise for having a problem with other people.
Well, it's quite nice, after 2017, it is refreshing to watch something that really tackles Weinstein and Me Too and Cosby very head on.
head on, but not in a kind of a resolution-y kind of drama way, but in a, we're aware of this shit and we're just going to acknowledge it. We're not going to pretend this stuff hasn't happened.
But it always has done. It did so with the whole names of baseball teams, the cultural appropriation and stuff. Like it's always tackled stuff, but
looking at topics.
Because it's got that surreal sitcom aspect, it can do it with an irreverence but still very much going, we are definitely addressing this.
We've read up on this stuff.
We're not shoving it down your throat. We're gonna have Titus be selfish and show the other side of stuff, and I quite like that of like the...
What was Titus selfish? Don't say a bad word about that man.
Like with the whole Me Too and then the fact that he realised he was doing the same thing. His selfish character traits are always there. As much as he's very lovable, they don't ever rescind on that, and that's lovely.
He's a lovable dickhead.
Yeah. But it's a great show, and looking forward to the second half of this season.
Yeah. Other than that, though, big news for the UK.
Oh my God.
You can finally, legally and ethically watch Atlanta season 1. What's that, 3 years ago now?
Yeah.
Because Atlanta's been on Sky Atlantic for a little while, but not everybody's a Murdoch fan, and so not everybody has that channel or has access to that channel. So it's finally on BBC iPlayer, which is like super exciting, and we binged that super quick as well. I mean, we've got 2 episodes to go because I haven't actually been on BBC yet. But
no, I think we savoured it.
Oh yeah, but in a quick way. Yeah. We savoured it quickly.
It's
oh my God,
wonderful.
I had really high expectations, so I thought, it's not going to live up to that, and I've really, really enjoyed it.
It's fantastic. I think from some of our episodes a couple of years ago, the way we talked about Master of None and stuff like that, and this has already just barnstormed that for me. I love being in this world. I love the characters. I love the writing. I love the
dialogue. Like it's so.
But the creative,
irreverent.
But and the creative choices, like some of the things they're doing, it's really exciting whilst also maintaining a kind of very focused point, but also allowing itself to go off and stuff like that. And the whole episode with the TV series, it's my God, with the adverts,
the Black American Network episode. That I was just mouth agape because I was like, this is BBC, and if you don't know, the BBC is a public channel, so it doesn't have any advertising. I was like, how the hell have they got adverts on BBC? What's going on here? Almost outraged, and I realised it's part of the show because I'm a bit slow.
It's so strong, and just like that episode as well. We just talked about Kimmy Schmidt doing it. that episode deals with quite a big thing, you know, the whole acceptance of trans and stuff, and the way they do it with the characters and the fact that they then end up agreeing but then turning around.
Well, yeah, how often have you ever seen a news panel where the panel end up saying, well, yeah, I agree with you. Like, that never happens. And it is like, oh, fuck, yeah. Like, being able to sort of see through all those things that we just take for granted every day and pick out the things that you haven't seen before. Yeah. I really like that. I'm really...
We may be 3 years late to the party, but we're loving
it. Very much going hard.
We're those people that turn up to a house party at like 7 in the morning and go, hey! We want more drink and not...
Apple juice.
But yeah, and I mean, have we watched any films recently?
Do you know what? We've not seen loads.
We haven't seen loads, no. I think that's kind of partly to do with bit blockbuster fatigue at this time of year.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's quite early for that. Because normally all the blockbusters come out around like July for the summer holidays.
But they started doing the whole kind of March thing, you know, after Dead, you know, so they release a big film and then obviously you had Infinity War taking over basically a month. And we love that, and it started to get to a point where it's like there's a lot of these big budget like, and we've now got Jurassic World 2, we've got all of these types of films coming out, and I just don't really have the excitement for them. I think that is just a little bit of, I quite like to see something a bit more of a genre film, so you know, maybe we'll do Hereditary or something like that. That's a bit...
I'm scared of watching Hereditary. Like, I'm not even like, oh, it's going to be a scary movie. I'm literally scared to go to the cinema and see it.
Yeah.
I know nothing about it just because of fucking hype. But the other thing about the blockbusters all coming out now, I think also, is that they try to align... The way I've seen it is that they're trying to align the release dates globally because spoilers and things. Course, yeah. And of course, summer holidays in America start at least a month or 6 weeks earlier.
Oh, okay.
Than the UK ones. So yeah, they're probably trying to, you know, hit both holiday periods at the same time.
I think it's just an odd time. But yeah, what was the last film we saw at the cinema?
Oh, well, that would be Young Padawan Solo.
Segway.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah.
Slick.
So our main focus today is on prequels, and as screenwriters, firstly, are they necessary? And secondly, what is it as a screenwriter? What
would you need to consider? In order to.
Well, what's the right and wrong of taking on a prequel? So I think this all comes off the back of Solo, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. And I think part of my blockbuster fatigue set in with Solo because, and this isn't really spoilery. This is just my very, very quick review. I had fun watching the film, and then within the last 5 minutes, I found myself just being a little bit down and a bit annoyed. And then, as it finished, I was just like, so what was the point in that? Like, I'd been entertained as such. Like, it had some fun set pieces, it had some good acting, it had some interesting... No, it didn't have anything interesting, I wouldn't say. But I just got to the end and went, well, what was the point of that? Like, I didn't really get anything from it.
I have two thoughts on that. The first is probably, you know, a bit glib, but also it is the first in the post-Episode 4 universe of Star Wars to not have Carrie Fisher in it. And I feel like maybe you were thinking like Rogue One, she might just turn up.
No,
which is not possible, obviously.
I don't think so, no.
No. You know what I mean? Like that kind of like...
Yeah.
You know, she's a recurring character that's been in everything, and suddenly it's like...
Yeah.
Secondly... I watched it going, I am mediocrely enjoying this.
Yes.
And I felt that way all the way through to the end.
All the way through, yeah.
And I just sort of went, that was a fine way to spend...
2 hours,
however long it is, 2 hours or so. But the word fine is what I would say. It was a fine 2 hours. And I don't mean as in fine silks and like beautiful things. I mean, it was okay.
Satisfactory.
It was satisfactory.
Which isn't what you want from that. You want to be whooping and coming out like...
I was pumped after Rogue One.
Yeah, or like Infinity War or Spider-Man Homecoming. We came out of those like, wow, I feel like I've just experienced this really exciting, you know, and even the first Transformers film, you know, you came out and went, wow, that was kind of cool. Like, you'd seen these massive... I came out of this and just went, And, our friend and I had a point which was that it didn't really have any soul. It looked good, it had a lot to it, but it didn't really have a soul.
Yeah.
And I kind of agree. I think it did just leave me a bit cold.
That is a really good description for it yeah. I didn't feel like I really got anything new.
Well, there wasn't. There was nothing...
Yeah, the one thing that kind of got me was when we found out that... Oh, fuck it, spoilers. We found out that... It's not really a big one. That Han Solo was part of the... Is it the Order? Is that what they're called?
The Republic.
The Republic.
Yeah.
So he was fighting for the Republic.
He was essentially a stormtrooper.
Yeah, before they were full...
But not in costume.
Yeah. And I thought, oh, well, that makes sense. That kind of his attitude to life does have a kind of ex-military, jaded feel to it.
Yeah.
So I get that, it makes sense. So okay, that's interesting. But then I also felt like that takes away from Finn.
Yeah.
In the most recent trilogy.
That was it.
Because that was what's so lovely about Finn's character is that transformation of why did he leave? Why is he the one stormtrooper that's gone, this isn't right? And I feel like, this undermines that by saying, oh, well, Han Solo kind of did it first. And that made me a bit sad.
It did, and I think, we've kind of given our review of the film. I think talking about it as a prequel is exactly... What was the point of this film? What was the point? So, I think...
What was the point?
No, but I think, based on Star Wars, we're both big Star Wars fans. I think, pretty much, apart from Darth Vader, Solo is the iconic character, and Princess Leia, but Solo had that kind of... It was
This is who all the boys wanted to be growing up.
What were we meant to learn? What
did we not already know about him that was so important that we could see?
So he knew Chewbacca. Yeah, cool. So we saw him meet Chewbacca, and that was done differently to how I expected.
Yes.
It wasn't how I expected it, but it didn't excite me. It didn't make me go, cool, wow.
It was about,
Yeah. So, there we go. Okay, cool.
Oh.
And then he got the Millennium Falcon. Yeah, we knew that. In a game of okay, we saw the game. Cool.
Well, that's the thing because we've always known that he won it from stole it from Lando Calrissian.
Yeah. So we found that. We knew he did the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs. Cool. We watched that happen.
Tick.
Yeah, and it was different. Fine, different, but it was just okay. Tick and tick and tick and he's going to meet Jabba and tick. And I just thought, so what was it as a prequel? Would there have been a Solo prequel that actually ticked boxes for us?
Well, yeah, when a screenwriter is commissioned to write a prequel, are they given a series of check boxes? Because that's what this one felt like.
Oh my god!
So this one was written by Lawrence Kasdan and his son Jonathan Kasdan. So Lawrence Kasdan wrote, I want to say, Empire Strikes Back,
and I think Jedi. Yeah.
Okay, so he's Star Wars alumnus.
Yeah.
101.
And he's always said that the one film he wanted to do was a Solo movie. Always said that.
Oh, right, okay.
From day one.
But why did he? Because, again, what was it that he wanted to show us about Solo? Because...
I really feel like that. Because it wasn't just a checklist. It felt, at times, things that I think they thought we were going to be going, yeah! Like punch in the air moments. Actually made me groan. Like, there was so much, like, we've seen him shoot first. Oh, there's where that comes from. And, we've seen where he gets that idea from. And we've seen... And it was just like, wow, you are really labouring this.
I felt hand-fed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, so what more do we need to see? He's obviously off to Tatooine to meet with Jabba. So he's probably going to come in debt to Jabba. Oh, that's the last thing that we need to know before he goes...
But this is isn't this 10 years before?
12, yeah.
So it's like there's going to be a hell of a lot more that happens in the next 10 years. Otherwise, that's a dull life. I'm saying that about Han Solo. Dull life. If the only thing that happens to him in 10 years is he gets in debt to Jabba. Yeah,
and I just feel like I don't know. So for you, what would have been a better way to do a prequel? Or is there a good way to do a prequel?
Well, I feel like there's two ways you can really go with a prequel, and that's either character development or plot driven.
Yeah.
And I feel like, really, what a good prequel should do is bring both of those together.
Okay.
But I do not feel that has always been the case. I think that, you know, obviously there's a lot of prequels out there now. I remember when prequels felt like a kind of a new thing.
Yeah, there was that kind of time, wasn't there, where it was like reboots and prequels and sequels and spin-offs.
When the first Star Wars prequels came out.
Oh my.
And like Hannibal did it with Red Dragon and stuff like that. Like I felt like there was like a real prequels era. And I thought it was going to be like a short-lived thing, and it obviously is a great way for studios to make money out of existing franchises. So they
how
have
would you
persisted.
So with regards to like the Star Wars prequels, they are both character-driven and plot-driven. Now, obviously, they get derided, but do you think they actually do well as a prequel, or?
I mean, no.
No?
No. However, there are elements of those prequels I like. I like Revenge of the Sith.
Okay, yeah.
I do think that's a good film. It's got a lot of excitement. Like, the fights in it and stuff are... For me, I found it quite interesting. I can't deal with Attack of the Clones.
No, I think Attack of the Clones is the worst one.
Phantom Menace is annoying, but actually it's nowhere near as annoying when you watch it now than it was at the time.
I think Phantom Menace is overridden by the Jar Jar Binks effect. Whereas actually it's got some interesting things because it's both a prequel to Obi-Wan and Anakin. It's much more Obi-Wan's kind of...
Yeah, his is...
more of his story,
yeah,
and then you meet this little kid. But I think across the three films, you could have probably had a good Darth Vader prequel. There are enough ideas in there, the whole kind of rise of the Empire and stuff like that, but it's just baggy and it fits in shitty love plot lines. You know,
so you're suggesting maybe they could have condensed that into one movie?
I feel like there probably could have been a good...
One or two-parter
that was a...
Less of him being a child.
Yeah, a bit more of a Rogue One than a fucking trilogy. Less of the child, less of that, but actually showing the whole kind of rise of the Sith and the Emperor. You know, I think there is some interesting...
It was the politics I found so good in that film.
Yeah.
Some of the Senate stuff, you're like, but maybe that's me.
Exactly. But again, I actually think the character they really honed on that was the Emperor. And if you think about it in terms of that, it's actually quite a good prequel for Emperor Palpatine. Because you do see him as this conniving senator, then you see him as this mentor-y Sith overlord, then you see him as the... you also
see him as the trustworthy...
Yeah, Padme's advisor.
Yeah, advisor, that's it, yeah.
So, actually, if you look at that, it's a good prequel for him. It's a bad prequel for Darth Vader.
No!
Exactly. And it's an okay prequel for Obi-Wan. You know, you do see... why he becomes this embittered old Alec Guinness.
I've never thought about it that way before, that it's actually three character prequels rather than one big... I've always thought of it as just Anakin's story. It's just like, Anakin's story isn't that exciting.
It's a little...
He's far more exciting as Darth Vader.
But also, and, you know, we just talked about Solo, it didn't feel as checkpointy. There are obvious moments that they do the checkpointing of the hand and, you know, losing stuff like that, but... actually, it didn't do the kind of, we're going to...
I feel like Ron Howard in parts of Solo. And don't get me wrong, as I say, it was a fine film, but there were points where Ron Howard was sort of going, look, guys, it's this! Standing at the side of the screen with his hands going, ta-da! Like that. And I did, yeah.
Do you remember this line?
Parsec! Yeah. Did you hear that? Sorry.
But,
I make myself laugh.
But I think, and that's maybe the prequel problem, isn't it? Of does learning more about a character that you fucking love actually detract from it?
Well, does it mean the more you know about a character, do you love them less?
Yeah.
Oh my god, what does that say about us as people?
But like Darth Vader is the perfect example. He was created as this terrifying but charismatic villain. So for us as children, it was this like, and for most kids around the world, it's this, he's fucking sadistic, evil presence, but you want to find out more. But then when you find out too much more, he's an annoying, bad actor.
He's lost his mystique.
Exactly.
And he's an annoying teenager.
But even when you get a brilliant actor, so I actually think one of the strongest things of this is Alden Ehrenreich. I fucking can't say his name. The guy who plays Solo in Solo, a Star Wars movie, he does it brilliantly. Because he's not doing a Harrison Ford impression. But even when you have someone being Solo brilliantly, it still takes away from the mystique because you're doing all these checkboxes. And
I think he did a great job as well.
I loved that. I thought, yeah.
But it did. I mean, I said it was Ron Howard standing at the side of the screen going, "Look, guys."
No, it's probably more
it
Kasdan.
comes from the writing. Yeah,
and probably more Lawrence Kasdan.
Whereas I feel like actually the Alien films kind of do a similar thing.
Oh, I thought that was.
I mean, I've only seen Prometheus the once.
That's definitely a prequel. Yeah.
But yeah, that felt kind of like, look, guys, they're landing here, and I don't know, like
I don't know. I think that maybe has a DNA with Solo because again, it's trouble production. So it started out as Ridley Scott wanting to do a grand biblical sci-fi, and then realizing that they wanted to add a bit more alien into it, and then getting another writer on to add a bit more alien into it. I think that's where that falls down, because actually I think it has some interesting sci-fi elements to it. It's just, as you say, when they start to go, where's this then? Whereas seeing the space jockey in the first Alien is amazing, because you're just going, what the fuck is that giant crashed alien ship? But as soon as you know a bit more, you're like, oh, that's not as exciting now. It's not as exciting to know.
It's the age-old thing of like with Jaws, if you show too much of the shark, the shark is terribly made because it's on a budget and it's the 70s, and so let's not. But B, it actually makes it scary if you don't see too much of it.
Would you say it's a
like
beautiful
Alien.
Constraint?
I would say that Jaws in particular is a beautiful constraint. Yeah, I feel like maybe...
Would you not say that there was
a lot of these films are made almost like Blue Sky thinking, which is banned in beautiful constraint thinking.
Would you not say that there's a film out there about how John Williams came up with... So a prequel to the score for Jaws?
I want that.
I would actually watch that.
I mean...
I said it as a joke and now I'm like...
How many times have we watched... who's the composer for Twin Peaks?
Oh, Angelo Badalamenti.
Yeah, how many times have we watched him talk about the making of the Twin Peaks theme?
I love that.
So, I would totally watch a prequel about the theme for Jaws.
Okay, so prequels about music are definitely...
I'm there.
So
essentially documentaries. Pre-docs.
Pre-docs. But yeah, I think...
Quells.
I think Prometheus suffers because you're expecting Alien and it's not Alien. It's not even nearly Alien. And then you go into...
Part of that issue is the marketing. The marketing led with it being an Alien film.
Yeah. And I think Lindelof gets a lot of stick, but you're trying to, write this biblical idea of the birth of man and our relationship with God and everything, whilst also going, chuck in a chest burster. You know, I
didn't get the biblical thing.
Well, it's all Prometheus. It's the
I know what
birth of
Prometheus
man.
is, but
they're giving. There's a lot there.
I didn't really
there's a lot of
anything deeper.
There's a lot of subtext.
Okay.
But you're trying to pack it into a film where people are expecting chest bursters and
running away from aliens and shit.
Game over, man. Game over. You know, like it's tying it into the wrong thing. Whereas if Ridley Scott had just done a new sci-fi, I think that would have been far more exciting. Then you get Alien Covenant, which was probably the most boring film I saw in 2016. I watched it on a plane, so I can't attest to it.
Oh, so I imagine they edited it fairly heavily.
No, it actually said it's not edited.
Oh,
because you can choose ratings and stuff.
Nice.
But...
Nice playing, babe.
But... it was dull as dishwasher. It was so boring. And it's like, how have you made a film with giant aliens killing people boring?
Well, that's John Logan as well. Like, he's written some fucking huge films. He's done, like, Gladiator and...
Hugo.
Yeah, assorted, but big films, yeah.
But, and it also, I think his dialogue, like, Any Given Sunday, amazing for dialogue. Not so much Gladiator, but, but
the story's there. Yeah.
Skyfall worked.
Oh, Skyfall's one of the best Bond films of recent years.
Yeah. So, not a bad writer, But for some reason, that film it didn't have any ideas, I didn't think, and it just was very dull. So yeah, it just didn't work as a prequel. It didn't work as its own film. I don't know. I don't quite know if there is a good prequel. I can't think of one off the top of my head. I mean, you could say the Hobbit films are prequels.
They are.
They're not good films.
No, they're fun.
They were perfectly
fun.
fun.
They're more fun than Solo.
They were perfectly fun to watch at Christmas on the big screen and go, oh, I'm back in that world.
Yeah.
And it was about Peter Jackson, Fran Walsh, and Philippa Boyens building that Lord of the Rings world where you just wanted to go and spend time in. It's
well acted, it's well made, it's all of those things.
Good.
But it's not really The Hobbit, is it?
It's not really The Hobbit, and it's also... It's not... I mean, it is a prequel to The Lord of the Rings because they really hammed in all the kind of...
The links between
it, which are in all of the kind of additional books by Tolkien. They're not actually in the Hobbit books. I wouldn't say it's a prequel that worked, essentially. You know, did we need to know that much more about Gandalf? No. We already knew he was a wizard that had run-ins with the ring before.
Did we like seeing him again?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of world-building one is exactly the same like Fantastic Beasts. That is a world that millions of people want to go back to.
Yeah, and that works so well because it's in another country. It's almost void of any characters that are the same as the Harry Potter films.
I think it's completely void.
Because you do have Dumbledore. Well, okay,
no.
We will have Dumbledore.
But the first film...
And we know about Newt Scamander. So.
Yeah, Scamander.
Scamander.
But it's nothing to do... Yeah, I think... It's its own separate thing, but it is obviously a prequel, and it looks like the second film is going to be much more prequel-y because it is going to have Hogwarts, it's going to have Dumbledore, it's going to have the Ministry of Magic. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be much more prequel-y. And it's interesting that this one was actually written by J.K. Rowling.
Well, the last one. Is the new one as well?
I think so. Sure. I think both of them are.
But yeah, I thought she did a really great job. But that's the thing. She is the inventor of this world.
So she...
And... most of these, apart from Lawrence Kasdan, most of these examples, the prequel and the original, are not written by the same people.
No.
Now, I'm just feeling like if you love a film and if a film's done really well, wouldn't you want the same team working on the rest of on the sequels and prequels and any other?
That's a question that sometimes yes you would, but sometimes you want a fresh voice. So I think one of the big problems with Solo was obviously that the directors left halfway through production, and those were two directors that, let's say, are on the improv side of things. Mm. So if you've got this script that Kasdan and people want very much adhered to,
yeah,
but maybe a fresher approach and just having time spent with these characters that are quipping with each other would have made it a more enjoyable
maybe that's also, it's just a conflict between two different working styles completely. And I noticed in the credits that Lawrence Kasdan was also an executive producer on this. So he obviously had a very big interest, as you say, he's always wanted to make this film. And this is in no way a criticism because obviously...
We don't know the situation.
We don't know the situation, and so we're picking up on just things that, bits of information here. But also... different working methods are all valid and great.
Yes.
But it sounds to me like there could be
a little bit of conflict.
Conflict there. And that's maybe why the whole change around happened.
Yeah.
I mean, there was never really much of an answer given. It was all quite vague.
I don't think there's an answer to that because I think it totally depends. Had completely new people taken on the prequels, then maybe they wouldn't have been hated as much as they are.
You mean the original
so like
prequels,
episodes 1, 2 and 3. Mm-hmm. Maybe a completely fresh voice in the 90s taking those on would have made for a more enjoyable film. But what you had was the person that had invented these worlds who still needs to be credited. He gets so much hate.
Yeah, no.
This is the person who created fanboys' favourite films.
So that's a really good point. So actually, George Lucas was doing what J.K. Rowling is doing. I just feel like she's executing it a bit better.
I don't think Fantastic Beasts is a great film. I think it has some enjoyable things, and it's all about spending more time in that magical world.
Yeah, and the thing is, a lot of the magical world of Star Wars it didn't feel the same because it was done so differently, and obviously it's 20 years has passed.
But I think Naboo was exciting. You had excitement.
Parts of it, but
what I think will be interesting to see is, so from what we've seen so far of Fantastic Beasts 2, we are going to see Hogwarts, we are going to see characters we know.
Yeah.
Now, are they going to introduce a young boy at school, and are we then going to get Voldemort? How prequely are they going to get?
Now, I'm not sure.
That's what I'm interested to see.
I'm not sure if this has actually been confirmed or if this is just sort of conjecture at the moment, but it feels, as far as I understand, each of is it 5 Fantastic Beasts movies that have been commissioned?
Yeah.
It feels like we've got one in the 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. That's, I want to know where, I can't remember where I heard that now. And how confirmed that is.
Well, how confirmed and whether
so we
know
Voldemort is the 1940s.
Yeah,
so.
But whether they end up greenlighting another 3 films, so you've got 2 sets of 8 films, and whether we go right up to 1980, and the last thing we see is
the Flash.
Whoa, the Flash, the scream that we all know from the other film.
And a baby with a scar.
How prequely are they going to get? And
that's interesting.
And do we want to see that? Whereas I think people wanted to see Fantastic Beasts because it wasn't...
Because it's so different to the story that we know already.
Would it be more fun to go and see Africa with magicians and China, and bring in the kind of whole magical world, rather than, well, let's go back to Hogwarts and see...
Like a geographic prequel.
Because as you say, the American thing was far more exciting, and you've got this character that is going to be travelling across the world. So I think that would be far more exciting than, oh, look, this is when Hagrid joined the school. It just...
Yeah.
But, who knows?
See, if they'd greenlit 7, I'd be like, oh, there's one for every continent.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
But, yeah, and I think there's the difference between world building, as you say, and plot driven and character. So a prequel that I feel really didn't deliver, based on the original film, was Monsters University. Because that original film built such an interesting world and idea. Now,
we all know what you're like with Fresh Prince. I am the same with Monsters, Inc.
Oh my god, yeah.
Like, literally floods of tears every time I see it.
But it did a really interesting thing of, whereas other Pixar films seem to be able to build a world and then you could play in them, you could play with Toy Story for years. Monsters Inc., it built this brilliant world, but then very much finished the storyline. They learnt that laughs were more powerful than screams. So done, pretty much. And so they went backwards, whereas pretty much every other Pixar sequel goes forwards and takes the characters forward. And I really felt like this film just wasn't very good.
It feels a bit shoehorned.
Yeah.
Again, it's kind of checklisty.
They meet and look, that's when he does this.
Yeah, and like the characters are just so different. Like, you've grown with them and you've fallen in love with them. But who they were, 10 years previous, they're not as lovable.
No.
And there's no Boo.
Exactly, that's the key thing, isn't it?
It's Boo.
It's a key.
We already know, what's the name of the character that Buscemi plays? The evil.
Sliver, yeah.
We already know he's the bad guy.
Yeah.
And he gets his comeuppance in the first film. So having him on the campus, he is here on the campus, right? Yeah.
But it's like, would a Toy Story prequel work where it's no Buzz, no...
Woody, it's just Woody and Andy playing by themselves.
But or a few of them, you know what I mean? Or it's a Toy Story's prequel where it's Andy's mum when she gets rid of Jessie, and so you have none of the story...
Yeah.
None of the actual characters.
Well, no, because we've just said that it works well for Fantastic Beasts, and you've got none of the characters. But yeah, it's interesting because maybe it's a Pixar thing, like they've never done the prequel before.
No.
And
just felt that one didn't work. I don't know if they have any
more on the slate. But...
Whereas a lot of them, I do feel that it would work. I think their worlds are built very much.
What, like Cars?
No.
You could do like the T-Mobile. Was it T-Models?
T-Models.
1910.
Incredibles would work. Prequel, you want to find more about that world.
We don't need that because we've got a sequel coming soon. You can't let your black blockbuster fatigue get in the way of that one. I'm excited about that.
So we've actually shit on quite a lot of prequels.
I don't mean to be shitting on them because I actually do enjoy going to see them.
As writers, it's a really hard task, I think,
Yeah, and there's obviously, and neither should there be, a one size fits all.
And we just pointed that out, that there's so many reasons,
exceptions that prove each different rules.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think the one key exception that really proves the rule would be Breaking Bad.
Yeah, with Better Call Saul.
I think that maybe just about is definitely on a par with, and maybe in my eyes sometimes just teeters over being better than Breaking Bad.
Oh, it's as far as I'm concerned, it's definitely better.
It's really powerful to watch that. You know, it does. Okay, the first 2 seasons don't. They just have one character that's the same. But they are starting to bring in more of the world, and it's interesting to see how that will affect it. Will it have a demeaning effect on it? So, you know, the more Gus Fring we see, are we actually going, oh, okay, now we're ticking the boxes? Whereas those first 2 seasons, I didn't feel really any tick boxing at all. It wasn't like, he's going to do this now, he's going to...
No, and I liked the way that they did deal with what happened in Breaking Bad. I felt that was so beautifully handled. The whole flash forwards thing, and in black and white, and the like, actually it's not talking about what happened in Breaking Bad, but yet it's absolutely enshrouded in what happened in Breaking Bad.
That whole first season, I remember just going, that one black and white shot of him in the Cinnabon is with you the whole season. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's never referenced again, but it's
I find
with
it quite
you there.
chilling. It's so lonely.
And then that second season opener where he gets trapped when he goes out to put the bin. Oh my god, the tension in that one scene. And again, we still know nothing, and it's just like, it's so
we still know nothing.
brilliant. And then the third season where the police, the guy, and he ends up dobbing the guy in at the mall.
Oh yeah.
And it's so clever, and it's the tension again.
Oh
and
man, I just want to watch Better Call Saul now.
I know.
Yeah.
But I do feel that really, and this is maybe the key point, is it really understands its characters, but it wants to really invest in them. Now, obviously, it's TV. Films can't do this in the same way.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. TV does really allow you to play with a character's arc and have a really nice big payoff because you've had so long. Whereas a film, you've got, like, say, on average 2 hours to kind of get to know a character, or you might already know them, but kind of get to know this new imagination of them.
But not related to the major story. So all the stuff with his brother is not related to Breaking Bad in the slightest. But we're getting the same levels of drama and tension that we got in Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
If not more sometimes, with this completely unrelated storyline.
Well, yeah, this is essentially a legal drama.
Yeah.
Whereas Breaking Bad is a drugs...
fish out of water kind of...
Yeah.
You know, it's really interesting. And I just think, again, format is key here of how much more investment you can give to that character. Whereas Solo, they could only go through a few beats because they've only got 2 hours of running time, you know.
Well, I mean, it's interesting. One of my other, like, actual favourite prequels is another TV show, and that's Hannibal.
Yes. Oh god, that's had loads of prequels though.
Well, it's had loads of film prequels,
like
but
Red Dragon, Hannibal Rising,
and I think I've seen them all. But this TV show, if we're not going to talk about season 4, is really great.
So clever.
And that definitely is showing you the monster. You know, like that what we were talking earlier about, like, you don't want to see too much of it. It shows you so much of the monster, and it almost makes them, what's the word? It humanises him a bit.
Yeah, I think.
In a weird human kind of way. I feel like it handles it really, really well. Because you know what happened. Obviously, you know where it's leading to eventually. Yeah. You know he's going to get caught one day, but you're constantly just like being thrown off the path. Yeah, and it's Brian Fuller, I think. Yeah. And I really like the way that it's stylistically completely different. And even the Hannibal Lecter in it, so Mads Mikkelsen, is not trying to be Anthony Hopkins.
No.
So it feels completely fresh. But it's got a really long, slow burn story.
Yeah, and I think, again, it really does come down to character, which is, as writers, it's almost the first rule in it, is characters are so important.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds awful, but nail your characters first, and then you can nail the story. That just sounds wrong.
I think Solo did, but it just didn't expand on them at all. It didn't give. It nailed the characters in terms of how they interact in situations.
I know who was cast and stuff.
You know, Han Solo acted how he did, how he should have done in the situations. But I think it was the ham-fistedness. You know, even down to fucking giving him the fucking name Han Solo. That irked me more than anything.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
What's your surname, sir? Oh, you're on your own. I wonder what it could be. How about Solo?
How have you made that sound like an episode
honestly,
of The Waltons?
It irked me so much in the cinema. I was like, just write it down. Just have it as a written thing. Don't fucking have it as a
don't tell
dialogue thing. But yeah, so here's a question. You're screenwriter and the studio goes, we need a prequel. What prequel would you do?
Oh, fucking hell. You just literally dropped that on me.
I know. It's a really...
Oh my goodness.
Because you have to love the characters. I understand Lawrence Kasdan's position. You have to love the characters. But...
You have to love the world.
You have to love the world. But also, you have to want to bring something fresh to those. So...
Yeah, there's got to be something to actually say.
Leia, I think, is brilliantly written and perfect. I don't feel like writing her as a princess in...
Yeah, her going from princess to rebel.
I don't...
I feel like I know how that would have gone.
I feel like showing it would just take away from it. And I feel like they did a bit of that in the kind of prequels where Natalie Portman's character is a kind of precursor to that.
Yeah.
By the fact that she is a politician first, but also very pragmatic person. You know, and I feel like they kind of showed that.
Yeah, she's Leia's always had a very strong moral compass, so it probably wasn't really a journey. It was just sort of she was always going to be both.
Yeah.
Okay. Whilst I think about that, you tell me yours, Mister. I'm going to chop a random question on you.
I don't know if there is one. I can't think of a
franchise or even just an individual film.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think you can't have an X-Files prequel, really, can you?
Oh no, they exist.
But the whole point is her walking into that office in that first episode. That's the whole crux of the whole...
It's such a perfect starting point.
Exactly.
Like, why do I don't need to see her in med school.
Exactly. That's the thing. And I think...
Or Fox Mulder in Oxford. I don't need to see that.
we love dystopian kind of sci-fi films, so something like Children of Men. Yeah. The whole idea of where this world came from...
That's The Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't feel that it would benefit that film in any way. I feel like that film sits well because we're just thrown into children down, you know, we're in this dystopian situation, poverty, all of this idea. I feel like going back and looking into that kind of takes it away a bit.
Yeah. I feel like majority of the films that I really love and would love to like have been the writer of, like I've loved to have achieved that, are films where they start off in a kind of a happy place and end up being quite sad, and so therefore doing a prequel would just be a happy film about happy things and happy people.
Yeah.
And given that all stories need tension, so like for instance, a prequel to Requiem for a Dream would just be a bunch of kids
finding out about drugs.
Yeah, the end with just going, oh, drugs.
Oh, I really like that heroine. It's quite Moorish, isn't it?
Yeah. And then I'm going, oh, this is my favourite TV show. And things like Eternal Sunshine, that doesn't need... That would just be two people in love.
Yeah.
It's like, where's the tension?
Exactly. It's yeah, and I think that's the key point for me as a you know, and there's a big one coming out soon. So Sopranos. David Chase is doing a film, I believe it is, of the young days of the mob during the 60s in New Jersey.
Oh, so it's not Tony Soprano.
Tony Soprano will be in it.
But
he'll be a kid. And it's more about... So obviously Junior will be quite high up at that point. And his mum will be quite a key presence. And you've got the whole race situation at that time with the race riots.
And how prevalent the mafia was in that whole pop culture. So actually I think that could be interesting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they're obviously out there. And I'm sorry, I just dropped that on us. They're obviously out there, and there obviously are times, but I feel like you have to be the David Chase. I feel like you have to have sat there with that creation for a while and gone, do you know what? There's so much more to tell in this.
Yeah.
Rowling
I feel
did
like
it
the
with-
creator is probably your starting point, isn't it? Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the projects we're working on at the moment.
Do you want to do a prequel for?
I know, but I know that there are elements to it where I'd be like, I'd really like to investigate that. But until the world has been built significantly enough, there's no basis for why you need to go back into that.
Well, on that note, don't write a prequel unless you invented the original. No,
So we're really looking forward to the...
I do not agree with that.
We're really looking forward to the the Obi-Wan Kenobi prequel.
I've got it. I've just got it.
What?
A prequel to David Lynch's A Straight Story.
What, back when he was like fucking a Razorhead or something?
Or like him buying the lawnmower.
Yeah. Yes. Love
Sorry.
it. Love it.
Anyway, so
On that note,
I think we've covered the prequels and we've shat on enough.
we're shouting up them.
Sorry, world. And do you know what? None of these are awful.
No. Well, Oz the Great and the Powerful was pretty bad.
Oh, yeah. So we'll be back next time with some more writing conundrums. Oh. Stay tuned for more. You can find us, as you already have, I'm sure, but you can also follow us on Instagram and Twitter at JudgeCast.
Keep it cricket. Let's write a prequel to this podcast.